Wow, that's such a cool idea to build. Why didn't I figure it out myself? Let's learn how to build a working tank.
Round 1.
For this working tank tutorial, I'm starting with the tracks, because every tank needs a strong base before anything else can be added. I build both tracks from black wool since the dark color looks similar to heavy rubber and immediately separates them from the rest of the vehicle. After that, I begin constructing the main body using lime wool. Tanks usually have a low, wide shape because a lower profile makes them more stable and harder to spot, so I keep my design compact instead of making it too tall. At the front, I install a window using green stained glass. The darker glass blends nicely with the lime wool, while still looking like armored viewing glass. Next comes the most important part of the build, the barrel. I extend it from the front of the tank and finish the tip with a dispenser. A dispenser is a clever choice because it already has a large opening on its front, making it resemble the muzzle of a cannon. And it can actually launch projectiles if players decide to connect it to a redstone mechanism later. To finish the tank, I fill in the remaining gaps around the driver's cabin so the vehicle looks completely enclosed. Real armored vehicles protect their crews with thick layers of armor, so leaving large openings would make the design feel unfinished. Even though this is a simple, beginner-friendly tank, the combination of sturdy tracks, a compact armored body, and a functional-looking cannon makes it instantly recognizable. Phew! It took so much effort. Great! My working tank is ready!
Hello?
Hey, Carrie, look! I built it. Do you like?
No.
What? Did I add almost no details to my tank? Does that make it look too ordinary?
Oh.
It's a pity, but I tried so hard. Maybe then you'll try to build a better working tank yourself?
Yay!
They ran to the place. This is where your building will be. Are you ready?
Yahoo!
Then go ahead.
Round 2.
Carrie begins this working tank tutorial by building the main body almost entirely from sandstone. I can already hear her making determined cat sounds while switching between regular sandstone, smooth sandstone, slabs, and stairs. Using several variations of the same material is a great building technique because it adds depth without introducing too many different colors. Real armored vehicles often look interesting because of their shape rather than bright paint. And the same idea works here. Smooth sandstone creates clean armor plates, while stairs and slabs soften sharp edges and make the tank appear much more detailed. Even though the entire vehicle mostly uses one type of stone, the different block variants prevent the build from looking flat or repetitive. Next, Carrie focuses on the tracks, building them from dark-colored stairs. I think she wants them to stand out clearly against the light sandstone, and it works surprisingly well. The tracks are one of the most recognizable parts of any tank because they allow these heavy machines to travel across rough terrain where ordinary wheels would struggle. Unlike cars, tanks spread their enormous weight across long tracks instead of concentrating it on a few tires. This reduces the pressure placed on the ground and helps prevent the vehicle from sinking into mud, sand, or snow. Minecraft does not simulate ground pressure, but recreating this design principle makes the build feel much more authentic. With the lower section finished, Carrie continues shaping the upper armor using more sandstone blocks. She combines full blocks with slabs and stairs to create gentle slopes instead of perfectly vertical walls. This is actually based on a real engineering principle. Sloped armor is often more effective than completely flat armor because incoming impacts strike the surface at an angle rather than head-on. Even when builders are only trying to improve the appearance of a Minecraft vehicle, angled surfaces naturally make tanks look more realistic. I think Carrie accidentally ends up following a design concept that engineers have used for decades. Now, she starts adding the smaller details across the top of the tank. Lamps, trapdoors, and fences begin appearing all over the vehicle. These decorations may seem minor, but they dramatically improve the overall realism. On actual armored vehicles, the roof usually contains storage compartments, protective covers, handrails, antennas, maintenance hatches, and countless other pieces of equipment. Adding details of different heights also creates more interesting shadows, making the tank look much more complex from every angle. Sometimes a handful of carefully placed decorations can have a bigger impact than adding dozens of extra blocks. After that, Carrie moves to the front of the vehicle and constructs the cannon using sandstone slabs. Building the barrel from slabs instead of full blocks makes it appear much thinner and closer to the proportions of a real tank cannon. One interesting fact is that tank barrels are carefully engineered to remain perfectly straight because even tiny bends could affect accuracy over long distances. In Minecraft, the barrel is purely decorative, but keeping it centered and proportional still makes the entire vehicle feel far more believable. The cannon immediately becomes the focal point of the build, giving the tank its unmistakable silhouette. As Carrie continues shaping the vehicle, she spends extra time making sure the proportions stay balanced. One of the biggest mistakes beginner builders make when creating military vehicles is making the hull either too tall or too narrow. Real tanks are designed with a very low center of gravity because stability is incredibly important when driving across uneven terrain. A lower vehicle is also a smaller target, which is one reason many modern tanks appear surprisingly flat compared to other armored vehicles. By keeping the body compact and wide, Carrie creates a silhouette that immediately feels more believable, even without copying a specific real-life model. While placing more sandstone stairs and slabs around the body, Carrie naturally creates overlapping layers that resemble armor plates. Real armored vehicles are rarely built from one continuous sheet of metal. Instead, they are assembled from many separate sections that are welded or bolted together. These overlapping surfaces help strengthen the overall structure, while also making repairs easier if individual components become damaged. Minecraft builders can imitate this effect simply by mixing full blocks with stairs and slabs. Even though every block is technically the same material, the different shapes create convincing shadows that trick the eye into seeing multiple layers of armor. Before moving on to the final decorations, Carrie walks around the tank several times, making small adjustments wherever something feels out of place. This is actually a habit shared by many experienced builders. Instead of focusing on individual blocks, they regularly step back and examine the entire silhouette. Our brains recognize the overall shape of an object long before noticing its tiny details. If the outline looks correct, even relatively simple builds become instantly recognizable. That is why checking the tank from different angles is just as important as adding decorative pieces. Sometimes moving a single stair or slab by one block can improve the appearance of the whole vehicle, much more than adding 10 new decorations. To finish decorating the exterior, Carrie installs ladders, a redstone torch, and several buttons around the tracks. I like imagining the ladders as maintenance access points that allow mechanics to climb onto the vehicle more easily. The buttons placed near the tracks resemble wheel hubs or reinforced bolts that help break up the large flat surfaces. Meanwhile, the glowing redstone torch adds a splash of color and almost looks like an active warning light or an electronic system that has been switched on. Little details like these tell a story about how the vehicle might function instead of making it look like a simple block sculpture. Looking at the finished build, Carrie has managed to create a tank that feels surprisingly detailed without relying on dozens of different materials. By combining multiple sandstone variants, realistic-looking tracks, layered armor, a well-proportioned cannon, and plenty of decorative components, she demonstrates an important building lesson. A convincing vehicle is usually created through clever shapes and thoughtful details rather than an enormous variety of blocks. Even though she never says a single word, her happy cat sounds make it obvious that she is proud of the result. And this tutorial shows that simple materials can still produce an impressive and believable working tank.
Ta-da! Yay!
Where did everyone run off to? Hey, Hey guys, what's all that noise?
Carrie and I are building a working tank, JJ. Who did it better?
Oh, both of your buildings look great, but I think it's up to the audience to decide who did the best.
Yes, JJ, you're right. Maybe then you have comments on the construction of Carrie.
No, I have no comments. She made a very detailed and beautiful tank. He's just like the real thing.
I totally agree with you, JJ. Maybe you'll build a working tank.
Okay, then let's run to the place.
JJ, good luck to you. We'll wait in the house.
But
Thanks, guys. Then I'm starting. Round 3. For this working tank tutorial, I begin with the most important part of the entire vehicle, the lower chassis. Many beginner builders immediately focus on the turret or the cannon because those are the most recognizable features. But every armored vehicle depends on a strong foundation. If the lower section has the wrong proportions, the entire tank will look unbalanced no matter how detailed the upper half becomes. I start by deciding how wide the tracks should be before thinking about the body itself. Real tanks are generally much wider than ordinary vehicles because the additional width improves stability while traveling across uneven ground. A solid base also makes it easier to keep every other component aligned as the build grows upward. The first major feature I construct is the track system. Instead of using only one type of block, I combine regular coal blocks, coal slabs, and coal stairs. Mixing multiple block shapes immediately creates the illusion of moving mechanical components rather than one large black rectangle. This is a useful building technique for almost every vehicle. Even when using a single color palette, changing the shape of individual blocks introduces shadows that naturally increase the amount of visible detail. Professional Minecraft builders often rely on this principle because depth usually has a much greater visual impact than simply adding more colors. As the tracks begin taking shape, I pay close attention to their proportions. Tank tracks are much larger than ordinary vehicle wheels because they are designed to spread the vehicle's enormous weight over a wider surface. This greatly reduces the pressure placed on the ground. Imagine standing on snow while wearing regular shoes compared to wearing snowshoes. The snowshoes distribute your weight across a much larger area, preventing you from sinking as deeply. Tank tracks operate using exactly the same principle. They allow incredibly heavy vehicles to cross mud, loose sand, snow, and rough terrain that would easily trap conventional wheeled vehicles. Even though Minecraft does not simulate this kind of physics, Recreating realistic proportions makes the design much more convincing. To add another layer of realism, I introduce red terracotta throughout the track assembly. Rather than covering the entire mechanism with one material, I use the terracotta as small accent pieces that break up the dark color of the coal blocks. These contrasting sections almost resemble reinforced structural components hidden beneath the armor. Color accents should usually be subtle on military vehicles because their purpose is to support the overall design instead of distracting from it. The deep red also creates a nice visual transition toward the red concrete that will form the main body of the tank. With the tracks completed, I begin constructing the lower hull using red concrete slabs, and red concrete stairs. Just as with the tracks, combining different block variants prevents the vehicle from looking like a giant box. Modern armored vehicles are full of angled armor plates, reinforced corners, and overlapping sections. Slabs and stairs allow me to recreate those shapes surprisingly well in Minecraft. One interesting engineering fact is that sloped armor can be significantly more effective than perfectly vertical armor because incoming impacts strike the surface at an angle, reducing the chance of penetrating directly. Even though this is only a Minecraft build, incorporating angled surfaces immediately makes the vehicle feel more realistic. As I continue shaping the lower hull, I constantly step back to inspect the silhouette from different perspectives. This is one of the most valuable habits any builder can develop. The human eye recognizes the overall outline of an object long before noticing its smallest details. If the proportions look correct, viewers will immediately identify the build as a tank, even before the turret is added. Professional concept artists, architects, and industrial designers all follow the same workflow. They establish the large forms first, refine the medium details second, and only then begin adding the smallest decorative elements. To complete this stage, I attach stone buttons all along the tracks. At first glance, they may seem like tiny decorations, but small details often contribute the most realism. The buttons resemble wheel hubs, bolts, suspension fasteners, or maintenance access points hidden beneath the track assembly. Real tanks contain dozens of exposed mechanical components that break up otherwise flat armor plates. Adding details at different heights also creates stronger shadows, giving the entire lower section a much richer appearance. With the reinforced tracks, layered lower hull, realistic proportions, and carefully placed mechanical details now complete, the foundation of the working tank is finished and ready to support the much more complex upper structure in the next stage of the tutorial. With the lower chassis complete, I can finally begin shaping the upper hull of the tank. This is the stage where the vehicle starts becoming instantly recognizable. I continue working with red concrete because keeping the same primary material creates visual consistency across the entire build. Rather than stacking blocks randomly, I focus on forming a compact, low-profile body. Most tanks are intentionally designed to stay close to the ground since a lower silhouette makes them harder to detect and presents a much smaller target. Even in Minecraft, keeping the proportions realistic has a huge impact on the finished result. Before thinking about decorations, I concentrate on creating clean lines and balanced dimensions that make the entire vehicle look powerful without appearing oversized. As the outer shell grows, I carefully fill every empty section inside the structure. Hollow builds may look complete from a distance, but they often feel unfinished once players begin exploring them up close. Closing the interior also makes the tank appear much heavier and more convincing, almost as though it is built from thick layers of reinforced armor instead of thin walls. Real armored vehicles contain engines, fuel systems, crew compartments, electronics, ammunition storage, and countless mechanical components packed tightly inside. Very little unused space exists because every part of the vehicle has an important purpose. Even though my Minecraft version does not include every internal system, building a solid hull helps recreate that impression of strength and durability. While shaping the body, I spend plenty of time checking the tank from different viewing angles. One fascinating thing about vehicle design is that our brains recognize proportions much faster than individual details. If the height, width, and length feel balanced, the build immediately looks believable. This is why experienced builders rarely rush through the basic shape. Many of them constantly fly away from the project, inspect the silhouette from a distance, and then return to make small adjustments. Sometimes moving just a single row of blocks can dramatically improve the appearance of the entire vehicle without adding any extra decorations. Now, it is time to construct one of the most recognizable parts of the tank: the cannon. I extend the barrel from the front of the turret and finish the tip with a coal block. The dark block creates a clean opening that resembles the muzzle of a real cannon while contrasting nicely with the bright red armor. Interestingly, real tank barrels are engineering masterpieces. They must remain perfectly straight despite experiencing enormous pressure every time they fire. Even tiny imperfections could reduce accuracy over long distances. In Minecraft, the barrel is purely decorative, but keeping it centered and properly proportioned instantly makes the vehicle feel much more authentic. With the major construction complete, I begin decorating the exterior using lamps, acacia trapdoors, and acacia fence gates. This is where the tank starts telling its own story. The lamps resemble headlights or maintenance lights that could help the crew operate during nighttime missions. Trapdoors work surprisingly well as maintenance hatches, protective covers, or reinforced armor panels, while fence gates create the impression of external storage racks or mechanical supports. One useful building tip is that decorations should never be placed randomly. Every detail should look like it could serve a practical purpose, even if it is purely cosmetic inside Minecraft. Next, I install several iron bars to create a communication antenna before attaching a ladder along one side of the vehicle. These details are small, but they add an entirely new level of realism. Modern military vehicles rely heavily on communication systems, allowing crews to coordinate with other units across large distances. Antennas are therefore one of the easiest ways to make a Minecraft tank feel more authentic. The ladder serves a similar purpose. Since tanks are much taller than they appear from the ground, maintenance crews often need safe access to the roof for inspections and repairs. Including features like these makes the vehicle feel less like a sculpture and more like a machine that people actually operate. Stepping back, I can finally appreciate how every stage works together. The sturdy tracked chassis supports the compact armored body, the carefully proportioned cannon becomes the visual centerpiece, and the smaller decorations bring the entire vehicle to life. One lesson I always try to emphasize is that realism rarely comes from using hundreds of different blocks. Instead, it comes from understanding how real machines are designed and then recreating those ideas with Minecraft's simple building palette. By combining thoughtful proportions, layered armor, functional-looking details, and purposeful decorations, this working tank feels like a believable piece of engineering while remaining clear enough for anyone following the tutorial to recreate in their own world. With the exterior finally complete, I turn my attention to the interior of the tank. Even though most players will spend far more time looking at the outside, I always believe a build feels much more complete when the inside is functional as well. Before placing any furniture, I finish the walls and floor by filling the remaining empty spaces with matching blocks. A solid interior creates the impression that the vehicle was designed from the inside out rather than being nothing more than a decorative shell. This is a useful habit for any large Minecraft project because finished interiors make builds feel far more immersive when players decide to explore them. Now, I begin furnishing the inside with ready-made furniture from the mod. I place several beds to create sleeping spaces for the crew, followed by furnaces and chests. While a real tank obviously would not contain comfortable bedrooms, this is still Minecraft, where practicality often takes priority over strict realism. The furnaces can represent maintenance equipment or compact cooking appliances for long expeditions, while the chests provide storage for building materials, tools, food, and valuable resources collected during adventures. Adding functional blocks inside a vehicle gives it a clear purpose beyond simply looking impressive from the outside. Designing compact interiors is actually one of the most interesting building challenges in Minecraft. Every block matters because the available space is extremely limited. Real armored vehicles are famous for their cramped conditions, with every piece of equipment carefully positioned to maximize efficiency. Engineers spend years optimizing these layouts so that every crew member can reach essential controls and supplies without wasting space. Although this version is much more spacious than a real tank, I still try to organize the interior logically, making it feel like a vehicle that could genuinely support a long journey across the Minecraft world. After placing the final pieces of furniture, the working tank feels completely finished inside and out. The exterior provides the impressive armored appearance, while the furnished interior transforms it into a usable mobile base instead of an empty display piece. One of my favorite building principles is that every project should tell a complete story. When someone opens the hatch and discovers a fully equipped interior instead of hollow walls, the entire build suddenly feels far more believable. Small details, like organized storage, useful equipment, and thoughtfully planned living space, often leave a stronger impression than adding another layer of decoration to the outside of the vehicle. Great! My working tank is ready! It's time for me to show it to the guys.
Wow, JJ, you've got a very believable working tank. It seems to me that we can defend ourselves on it during the raid.
Thank you, guys. I am very glad that you liked my building. Friends, be sure to write in the comments whose building you liked the most. Well, I think it's time for us to finish.
Yes, JJ, you're right.
Subscribe and like. Bye-bye.